welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are here tonight live
Okay.
with Kimone Hall and Yola Lewis. They
Yes.
have a show called Positive Forces. Welcome,
Positive forces.
ladies.
Welcome. Woo!
Thank you so much.
Wow, I'm loving the energy. Yeah.
Yes, girl. Yes. This is so nice. Thank y'all so much. When I watch our podcast, I'm like, okay, y'all doing them beats. All right. Y'all doing those beats, girl. Go ahead. How did y'all even listen? I'm sorry. How did y'all even come up with that platform and just come out with the music like that? Because I mean, it gets you ready in that mood, huh?
Yeah, so it's funny. I'm going to let Kimone take that one as far as how we came up with the platform and how she came up with the Show Positive Forces show. As far as music, everything that we do, we're really in sync with each other.
Yeah.
So like she'll ask me, well, what music should we play today? And it's usually some Afro or Caribbean-based gospel music, which really gets us pumped. There's so much of that music out there. You want to just give it to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really, 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 really love that Afro beat is popping and is trending. And it just gives you a little vibe to say, okay, let me kind of relax. Let me get myself in the groove.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about life. All right. So, where it comes from is just that it relaxes me. It is something that I like to listen to. So because of that, I figured that, hey, let me impart that with our family.
Yeah, girl, because I'm like, okay, all right, I'm ready.
I love it. So what Positive Forces, how did that come about?
So, well, Positive Forces is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that I founded. And we are about empowering people, empowering the youth, empowering families, empowering individuals. So what we do is we give out hygiene products and clothing and food to them. So it started as a nonprofit organization. And then we had a cricket team, a youth cricket team, and we were just doing our own thing, minding our own business, and we would just post what we've done and what the kids were doing. And one of my radio mentors, DJ VJ Smiles, he actually saw what we were doing. They're like, hey, can you come in when we were on another station? Can you come in and just let everyone know what you're doing with the youth? Because we had, like I said, it was a cricket program, and then we did mentoring at the end. So that was really good for us to get into the minds of the youth, the young minds, to kind of help to mold them. And we kind of saw so many different things that were going on with them emotionally that we were able to address. So, we did that. And then they were like, hey, you guys, you're a natural at it. Won't you do your own shows? Like, what do you, but you
what? Right.
I was like, and they were like, yeah, come next week, bring your crew, because we have an international player, Junior Williams. He played international. We had another one in cricket, and then we had 2 more assistants that played as well. And we were like, hey, let's do it. And then we came on, and that's how we started. Like, that's how
I love it. I saw you. Our very own Spinderella.
I know.
All the ones and the twos.
Yeah.
Right. And, and it just evolved,
And that's good because it's fun, it's organic, and that's what we're all about, right? Showing people how to be your authentic self. And one thing that I love is that Black power, right? I'm so sick and tired of that stigma that Black women don't get along, but here we are, 4 powerful Black women empowering other women, right?
Absolutely.
So I love that. That's what we're doing. I missed that we all not in the same room, though. I know we were really clowning, right?
So, what I love is that along with entertaining, because the music is fire, I heard your show, along with entertaining, you also inform and educate. And so you've had some important conversations on your show. So talk about some of the guests that you've had and what are some of the highlights that the two of you would like to share with our listeners of things that you've learned on your show with your guests.
Well, one guest that we had that was really enjoyable and he gave a lot of information, was Ryzen. He is a gospel artist from Trinidad and Tobago. His music is really soca, but like groovy soca based with inspirational gospel music on top. And so he came onto the show and he gave us his whole background, what he does, how much he is helping the youth, how much he is mentoring. He pretty much gave us his life story.
Yeah.
And it was really beautiful. And then on top of that, he also stayed on the show with us for the entire show. And we took some questions from people and he answered people's questions. And he's so personable and such a wonderful person. And that really was a highlight for me, one of our guests that we had.
Yeah. Absolutely. Rizon was the bomb. All right. Yeah. His if Rizon, and if you look him up, you will see some of his songs, and it stems from the pain that he has seen within the culture in Trinidad. You know, the growing up, the molestation. So we talked a lot about those different topics. You know, what is it like to grow up in the streets and then to evolve? And he started out in the streets. Hanging out, right? And then now he's a licensed therapist. So he just tries to help with the trajectory of youth to kind of help them, to mold them, and that it just plays that in his song. We've also have Dr. Karen Stevenson. She's a licensed psychiatrist, and she's able to come on sometimes as well. And she imparts with us the different, mechanics of how it is and what is needed for our Black community in reference to, the mind, the psyche, and how we think. And we do it also from a spiritual point of view. Because the Positive Forces show is really about how is, it's a platform for you to come on and see what's happening in everyday life, and how is it that you handle your everyday situation. So we will bring up a topic that is, trending, love, youth, whatever it is, divorce, and then we'll talk about it and look at it from a psychological perspective.
And also totally our life experience too, what we've been through. And it's just the ability to be able to reach people, to give people a place where they can voice what they're feeling without judgment, and giving them a safe space where they can say how they feel, and then responding in love and compassion is really what we're about. We have Apostle Grant. He's an apostle, and he comes on and he just he gives us a plethora of wealth from the Bible, and then we are able to apply it to our everyday life and break down the scripture so that we can actually see what it really means. Because sometimes we read these things in the scripture and we're like, oh, what does it mean? Or we have our own interpretation, and sometimes it's incorrect. So we just try to break all of that down.
Lean not to thy own understanding.
Hello. But you definitely got to have your own relationship with the Lord, and you have to read and you have to study, and it's good to have people around you that help support that, and you can have a conversation about it and not feel weird or out of place. Absolutely. To say, I don't get this, I don't understand this. So you said that you mentor, you speak to young people. What are the age groups of the young folks that you help and support?
Okay, so when we did cricket, we had kids from age 6 all the way up to 15. So that's what we did at the time. But I'm an educator, so I'm always mentoring as well. So but it was awesome just to kind of see them, and you would see them playing and you see them in that light. But when you sit down with them and see the issues that they're facing, the challenges, the bullying that they kind of see, it was just like, okay, so how do we handle it? One was just like feeling very insecure within himself, not suicidal, but if it continued, that probably would have played a part in it. And we were able to just kind of grab that early, thank God, to be able to talk to his mom as well afterwards, and to kind of make sure that they were more surrounding and supportive of him.
One of the things that we talk about a lot on this show is mental health and mental wellness in our community, because for so long, mental health has had a stigma associated to it, right? And so we've had folks on to talk about just mental wellness, and we always are asking our guests, like, what do you do for your own mental wellness? What are you doing to make sure that you're whole, that you so that you can pour into others. What do you do to be pouring into yourselves? So we also talk about mental health and being aware of just like what's going on with yourself and how to recognize some things. Kat, my sister, is a big proponent of talking about mental wellness. I mean, every place, really, literally every place she can, she's bringing it up, and she's
I
bringing
was
it
just doing I was just doing it today, like literally today, and it's being how I am a survivor myself, and through therapy, through years and years of therapy, first taking years to get to therapy, and finally finding a support team that looked like me and who was culturally competent and culturally humble and able to empathize, even though they may not have lived in a car or did any or been raped or anything. They are able to communicate to me. And so it's really big, like what you ladies said about telling a story. When you tell a story and create a safe space, you liberate other people to do that, right? And that's the first form of power, when you allow someone to feel safe enough to use their voice and communicate what has happened to them in a safe space. And a person shared with me their personal story, and I thanked them. This was today, thanking them for sharing that personal intimate story with me, because I know it was very difficult. So that leads me to one question. I'm glad you said that, Karen. What personal experiences, if you like, that ladies would like to share to help? What drove you to this space to do this ministry that you're doing? Because I
because
see
it is a
your
ministry.
program. That's right,
It is a
absolutely. So,
ministry.
what led you ladies to this in this direction?
Go ahead. You can go. And then I'll go.
Sure. All right. So, well, for me, I just wanted to, at the onset of it, hey, it was cool for me to have a platform to talk to the youth about, talk to parents, and because I had the kids on, and sometimes I would try to empower them, and then we're like, okay, so initially we're like, okay, let's get the kids thinking or with a mindset of entrepreneurship. So we started that with them because I wanted to build a team of young entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And then so a lot has evolved from it, but and a lot has kind of been placed on the back burner because of COVID. We've had students. I've had one student that he was so, like, he can build you a computer. Okay, 15 years old, he could build you a computer at 15.
Wow.
And he actually did my son's gaming computer and saved me like a whole bunch of money. Right, he saved me a lot of so started talking to him about that, and got him some business cards and just kind of tried to show him that trajectory, and that was where we were going to go with it with all the kids, and then eventually having them write a book, a team book, so they could become young authors, and just kind of give them that space, and then they will be able to give their personal perspective of how is it that they combat bullying in school, how is it that they combat all of these different mental health issues, and that was then, and now if I started that now, it's gonna be even worse. The situations that the kids go through, there's so much that they go through.
Yeah, for me, it's a funny story. So it was right before COVID hit. It was in 2019, and I've always wanted to be in entertainment. I just didn't know where, right? And so I would pray a lot, and just wait for something to happen. And it just so happened that my mom knew Kimone before, and she introduced me to Kimone, and I
Get
was
out of
just
here.
yeah, I was just going to be a co-host. I was on for one day. I was super, super nervous because I've done other things, but never radio. Certainly not video radio, right? So I just came in the studio one day, and we just clicked. We just clicked, and I met Kimone, and I just had this love connection with her.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
everything that we did just kind of vibed and synced.
It was a
with
heart
each other.
connection.
Yeah, it was a heart connection. It's like we don't even really
we don't prepare.
Yeah, we don't really super
together.
prepare. She comes up with the topics, which are always great, and I come up with a segment that's either called Yoli's Corner or Yoli's Thoughts for the week. And all of the topics I come up with on that are really driven by the Holy Spirit. I swear it is. It's like I get this word and I says, yep, that is what I'm talking about. And then I come on the show, and Kimone has pretty much the same thing or very similar to what
every week,
every single week.
Like, how do
fail? I don't know.
And the thing is, I pray too. I'm like, God, what do I talk to your people about this?
Right. That's how we came together, and it's just been great ever since. I just love the fact that I'm able to interact with people, you know, tell them my experiences, because I really do try to be honest, because I find that you should be honest so that people can identify with you and connect with you and see, oh, she's going through what I'm going through. You know, let me talk to her. And so I really love the fact that we're on this platform, that we can talk to people about their children. What are they going through with their children? Your own self-care, your mental health, getting therapy, love relationships, you know, how to navigate through everything that we go through every day. You know, how do you make the best mental, the best spirit, the best body, the best part of all of those things that make us one whole person. And so that's how I started.
Hey, we even go as small as, listen, you're going to the supermarket, you're in a local pharmacy. Yes.
How you deal with that?
And then you get an attitude from the grocery, the person packing behind you.
What do you do? Which is exactly what I went through. And I talked about it on the show.
Tell that story. Tell that story.
Perspective, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
How should we act when someone does that and you're a Christian? And that's exactly what I talked about on the show.
What happened to you? What happened to you right quick?
So I went to CVS. It's a CVS that's like 5 minutes from my house. I go there pretty often. And so I went to the CVS, and I really do, you know, try to put myself in other people's shoes, because I also give customer service in my job, right? And so I'm very big on customer service. It's so important to smile and be nice to people and give them good service. And this guy was the rudest person of all I've ever come across. He was short, he was curt, he wasn't helpful, he was everything. And I just kind of stood there. And you know, when you have that feeling like, oh my gosh, I want to fight, but then there's this other voice that says, you know what? No,
you ain't supposed to do that.
Because something else is going on. Because his attitude is not about you. He came in to work with that. Something else is going on.
Exactly, Karen. It's not about me. It's not about me. So, but over the course of time, I noticed that there was a change in him. I don't know how the change came, but there was a change in him. So now when I go into the CVS, he's just a lot more pleasant. He really is. Now he's helpful. And I don't know if that's because there's new management, or if God touched his heart, or if it was a prayer that somebody said for him when I told him the story on the show. But all of these things are things that could have happened to make a change. But there was a definite heart change. You could see it, because it's like day and night now. So we talk about things as simple as that. Every day, going to the grocery store, going to the CVS, you know, how are you to interact with people that aren't having a good day? Or something as simple as when you interact with people on social media, a lot of people nowadays are getting scammed. That's a part of life. What do? Do you forgive these people when they're doing that? That's what we're supposed to do as Christians. We're supposed to forgive them. So we talk about things like that. You know, how do you navigate through everyday people that you meet?
Yeah.
And then also the big things. How do you navigate? What do you do when you're feeling depressed? Who do you talk to? What should you do? You know, so
it's okay to have a therapist and Jesus.
Yes.
That
a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a licensed clinician, all of the above. It is okay to have all of that. It is very okay.
And Kat and Karen, look at that though. Look at where we've come from. Because years ago, that would not be the recommendation. That's always something hidden. That's always something that had that negative stigma to it.
Yes.
And you know, I think COVID has a lot to do with it in the switch. I don't know where it really started, but I think people are definitely now so prone to opening up and saying, hey, I have this issue, or yes, this has been bothering me. I think I need to go and seek help.
And I need to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah. Even in the dating world, like we talked about that, it's like, you know, they'll ask each other when they first meet each other, do you have a therapist? And how is it that you process when you're going through things? because that's looking ahead. Like, hey, if we're having an argument or we're having a misunderstanding, how is it that you're going to treat me? Are you mentally prepared and even stable and ready enough to engage me in a conversation where we're not seeing eye to eye?
Right. Do you use the 4 horsemen in your way of communicating? Is your communication toxic? Is it one that is more Christian-like and more loving? So we go through those kind of topics just to keep people aware of what they're doing and trying to find ways to cope and communicate better.
Yeah.
Correct.
So in dating, I would tell people, young people, that date somebody for at least a year. Get them through all the seasons so you can see how they react. Find out and see them in different settings.
That's right.
See them around their work peers or their school peers if they're still in school. And then see them around like their friends from their community, the people in their community. And then see them around their family and see who they are, how they react. Because you need to see people outside of just one setting. You need to see how they react when things are going well, when things are going bad. How do they respond?
Yeah.
So you need to date somebody for more than just a few months before you start calling yourself being serious. That's,
Because to me, it's similar to a job, right? You don't know the job for 90 days. It's going to take you a full cycle to know a job. So why do we take time with employment, but we don't want to take time with our relationships? You just want to jump in. Okay. It doesn't make sense. You know,
it makes sense. Even
another
information times.
90 days, you don't even get benefits to you know what I'm saying? You can't even get vested for a year, some of them, but we jumped head first into a relationship. I'd have moved in, girl. How long you dated?
Oh my God.
60 days? Really?
Okay.
It happens.
It does.
Years ago, I was 25, I remember. And I read
yesterday.
I know, right?
Yes. I read in Yola's Acts of Faith when it first came out. And so one of the things she said in Acts of Faith was, we have sometimes when we buy things like cars or appliances or whatever, you have a period of time to examine it to see whether or not you like it and you want to, before you fully purchase it and commit to it. Right.
Yes.
So you have time to see, does this really fit into my life? Is this really gonna work out?
Right.
But we don't take that same time with relationships. We jump right in, and we need to take at least 90 days to just hold off on intimacy, on things like that. Because when the intimacy comes into place, right? The blinders go up. We don't.
Absolutely.
We lose all peripheral vision.
Yes.
So you take at least 90 days to look around, scope this person out, look up under the covers, see if maybe the clutter is hiding up underneath the rug.
Oh my God.
Yes. I completely agree with you.
Time.
Yeah.
I was about to say that. Take a friend with you, right?
Actually, I was going to say that what you should do is be that person's friend. Don't think about the dating. Think about dating, yes, but not in the way where you're trying to get to that end game.
Yes.
In a relationship. Take the time to be that person's friend. I mean, really be that person's friend and then see if love develops from there versus just jumping in on boyfriend and girlfriend. Because like you said, Karen, once the intimacy happens, there's this chemical that's released into your body that seriously puts blinders on.
Yes.
You absolutely miss every red flag there's known to man. And you just
but he brings me flowers, but he's good. He's nice.
Right. Yeah, you don't make decisions that make sense at all. So the 90 days, absolutely, even longer, but definitely I think start with friendship.
Yeah. I like that.
Friends.
You need to, and as women, men too, we need to listen. So during that period of time, before you become physical, listen to what they're saying and watch and see. So are you listening and you're watching? watch and see if those words are matching up with what they're doing.
Yeah, with the actions,
right?
and believe them when they say what they're telling you.
Yeah.
Believe
them. I'm telling you that I want a future. I'm telling you that I want to build. But every time I see you, you're out in the club and you're popping bottles and you're spending money. Boo. How you building your kingdom or your queendom? And every time you turn around, you're making it rain, or
people make time for what they want.
Right.
Yes.
Period. And like you said, you got to believe a person when they show you
who they are.
I tell you, when they show you who they are consistently. Yes. People don't just, like Chris Rock used to say, the representative will show up, but once you date a while, then the real them come out. So it's definitely important to take time and learn who you're dealing with, learn your people, and learn who you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to jump back a little bit to mental wellness. That's my spot.
I'll digress.
I know. No. That's what the show's supposed to be about, right? Laugh and talk. But I definitely want to make sure we empower people with mental wellness, because that's like, we should be able to talk about that. Like, yeah, girl, I'm getting ready to go to the Bahamas, but before I go, I got to check with my therapist, and then I'm jumping on so and so. I'm going to Italy, and I'm checking out, Africa, and I'm taking my therapist, and I got this car. Like, it should be woven into getting groceries. I went to my therapist. How you doing today? I ain't doing well. Well, my story is I'm a part of one of the county's little internal class to teach you how to run the county. And I had an episode yesterday. We were at the jail, and I had an episode. I have PTSD. And I had warned them earlier. So I'm empowered to say to people, like I say on this show, I tell Karen and everybody, I have PTSD. And in that space, this individual shared with me that they didn't recognize their spouse who had a mental illness. And they reacted to their episode totally wrong. Now, this is their spouse.
Right.
Someone that you would think, like you said, you were a friend, y'all know, you married, so obviously you know. So this is not a bad thing. This is an enlightening thing. I was thankful that this person they were vulnerable, and they allowed themselves to be vulnerable to me with this story, which empowered me. The beautiful thing is, they said they loved their spouse, so they did what they needed to do to educate themselves so that they can be that support system for their spouse. Mm-hmm. So during that time, I'm like, we need to get together and have an event around mental wellness, because if you're married to somebody and you don't want to talk about it, we have a bigger problem if we're going over to the kids' side. Because if the adult's not willing to talk about it, where the kids get to go? Here's another. So I say all that to say, we got a tip, like what's a good way to explain mental wellness. There's a doctor, I can't think of his last name. He said, if you have a loved one who has leukemia or diabetes, how would you feel if you told someone that your loved one had leukemia or diabetes? How would y'all feel? Like, literally, how would y'all feel? Y'all can tell me. If I'm your sister and I got cancer, and you're telling one of your friends about me, how would you feel about that? Would you feel embarrassed, ashamed, or would you be like, send me some prayers?
Yeah. I feel more attuned, more empathetic and attuned.
Mm-hmm. Right. But when people talk about mental health, just ain't nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Right. If you say I'm schizophrenic, or I have PTSD, or I'm afraid of this smell or this sound or a color, what's wrong with that? We ain't talking about that. Gone somewhere. You see, isn't that something?
Yeah.
We'll talk about cancer or diabetes, but we won't talk about
the mental health,
mental wellness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for so long people have been, in that tunnel vision kind of mentality. Everyone has been so not wanting to be, like you say, Kat, vulnerable. not wanting to express themselves, not feeling like they're safe to do that. And because the society and outside world seems to view mental illness as something that's not serious, it gets swept under the rug versus being to the forefront. Whereas, for us now, that should be interwoven into our daily conversation. Everybody should have a therapist, and you shouldn't be embarrassed because you have one. Everyone should have a coach, and you shouldn't be embarrassed because you have one. Everyone should have that, connection that can help you, an unbiased person that can help you through what it is that you're feeling and going through, because we need it so much. And of course, like Kimone was saying, when COVID hit, that just made it worse, because what that did was it made us see how isolated we really were. And so now you're just there with your thoughts, or you're in a situation where you can't escape.
Right.
Or at least you can get out of the house and escape. Now all of a sudden you're confined and you can't escape. So I think that just brought it up to the forefront even more. Whereas now at least we're in a place where we can talk about it and spread awareness that we do need therapists and that there's nothing wrong with it. I find that especially men, because they're the species that are unable to talk and have been taught to like suppress their feelings and suppress their fears and suppress their tears, that even they need it and are more towards, getting the help that they need.
Yeah, we barely can get them to go to the doctor, huh?
That's true.
Yeah.
And because for so long, for women, from the time we're little girls, right, or younger women, we have friends. We have people in our circle that we can talk to.
Yes.
Men don't do that. I'll give my husband for example. So he had a friend that was going through a divorce, and it was a family friend of ours. He was going through a divorce, and so I said, "Well, how's so and so doing? What is the divorce finalized? Has the wife? How are things going? How's he doing?" And he was like, "I don't know." I was like, "Well, were you just over at his place watching it?" So he was like, "We don't talk about those things."
Oh wow.
So your friend is going through a divorce.
A crisis.
And y'all have no conversation. None.
Well,
How he's feeling, what's going on, nothing. I said, now, if that was my girl and she was going through a divorce, we would be communicating. Because that's what we do.
At least a check.
Well, I think that men, they process differently. And Dr. Karen, when we're on, we talk about the importance and just how significant presence is.
Yes.
Just being there for someone, and not some things you want to talk through, but not all the time you want to bring it up.
Gotcha.
But just being there in that space with that person just kind of shows the support. Like, hey, I'm with you. Let's just not even talk about this right now.
So if they sit on the couch watching the game, that's good enough. That's what you're saying. Come on.
Yeah, let's just hang out and have fun, and let that not be the focus right now, because it's not gonna go away. But for right now, let's just enjoy this moment of hanging out and watching the game. So,
but is that what keeps them stuck emotionally, because they don't talk about it with their bros, with their friends, I don't know the answer. I'm just asking the question.
I wouldn't say that they don't talk about it. I just think that they may not bring it up all the time.
Okay.
Men talk as much as women do, and
they sure do.
They're bigger gossips than we are.
But do they talk about hard things? Do they talk about what's really on their heart?
It depends. Some do, because I've spoken to a group of men, and they were in a church setting, and they were like, you know what, we were glad that we were able to have this forum, because as men we don't get a chance to do that, and you have that jock stigma that you have to maintain, and so I think it has to be intentional for the men and purposeful. Like, hey, we're gonna sit here, we're gonna just be supportive to each other. We're in this platform, and we just want to vent. But I think women, we do it naturally, without even considering it or calling it a label or giving it a name.
Right.
So now that I'm thinking as we're talking, we need to have some men on to talk about mental health and mental wellness. You know,
Yeah.
both of our shows, that's what we need to do,
Mhm.
because we have focused
Yeah.
on women, we have focused on youth,
Children.
children. But we do particularly for our black men, because I mean, a lot comes at them, a lot comes at us too, but
Hmm.
Mhm.
I think we have gone to the altar of therapy quicker than our brothers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. So that's a show right there.
That is a show.
It
I know
sure
that
is.
so far we have had like men on our show
Hmm.
get a male perspective of some of the things that we talk about.
Okay.
For me personally, I've only seen on up to recently where you see forums where men are talking about what they're going through. But
Hmm.
I don't think that they were really doing that before. But I think
Mm.
having a show where men can talk about what they're feeling is important. It's something that we should definitely do on both of our shows. We've
Yeah.
had one guest. I forgot what the question was, but it was a gentleman had called in, and his issue was that when he feels like he's trying to be vulnerable or show what it is he's going through, that he gets I guess bullied is a good word, that he has to
Mm.
show that he's macho. And
Mm.
what he was trying to tell us was that we have feelings too. And we need to be able to talk to women about how we're feeling. But we keep getting this pushback of, no, you can't. You have to be the macho man. And so, yeah,
So
I
men,
You
think
black
you
men feel like
money
he
on
has
that.
to stay.
Yep. I've heard men, I literally heard had a guy tell me that we women call them all of the weak words if they're in tune with their feelings, they want to talk about it, they want to share what they're going through. And then when that woman gets that roughneck and now it's not as pleasant as you thought, you know, you want
Don't
you
want to
want
go
somebody
back.
to hold it all in, and
Mhm.
then when they show it to you versus communicate it to you, now it's that mix. And so I did have a conversation with a group of men like that, and they just feel like, well, what's the sense in talking to a woman? Y'all want us to talk, but when I do talk, I get called weak, I ain't a man, you know, and all those other unpleasant terms,
That's
so that's
unfortunate.
discouraging.
That's unfortunate.
May I
It
say,
is.
it's not every. May I say, you don't give your pearls to swines. And
That right
sometimes
there.
I think I think a man and a woman, when we're sharing, who we are, we have to make sure that that person is ready to get into our space
And receive.
Mm-hmm.
and receive. You're not,
That's right.
even if it's just a thing where they just want to talk. You want to make sure that that person is competent enough, is on your level, that they can receive it. Now, if
Hmm.
if you have a female that's just all about, the Gucci,
Money,
this, the
show,
money, and no concept of being emotionally aware, then that's not something, that's the wrong person you're having a conversation with. Maybe that's not the person that they should be talking to.
yeah. Perhaps the problem is
Right.
that the person that you're trying to talk
Are
to
not
doesn't
equally
really
yoked.
match you. You guys, like, you might be at an emotional maturity of, say, one of the 10 being the highest, and the person you're trying to communicate with or be vulnerable with is at a 2. So that
Mm-hmm.
could never work. So maybe
So
it's just
yeah,
the
unequally yoked.
yeah, the
Unequally
It's
two
yoked.
not necessarily,
people.
yeah,
Yeah,
unequally
yeah,
yoked.
and I find that the term unequally yoked, yes, it's spiritual, but it's also on all different levels within a relationship, and any type of ship. I call them all ships.
Hmm.
Any
Right.
type of
Right.
ship,
Yeah.
there's this
Even
emotional
when it comes to
maturity that we'll
friendships.
have. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I love this conversation. And
We do too.
um
I do too.
and we need to let men know that it's safe and create a space for them where they can express how they're really feeling without judgment and
Without
ridicule.
judgment.
And we just listen.
Yeah.
We listen. Just listen. Okay, honey, I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, brother, I
Right.
hear you. Oh, I hear you. and then tell them what you heard. So what I'm hearing you say is, okay.
And that is so important because anyone that's read like the love languages by the Gottmans, it talks about, you know, being able to hear and receive, and a good way to say, well, I heard you, is to say I heard you and repeat what you said, because at the core I feel that both men and women really want to know that we've been heard.
Yes.
You know? It's not so much about, oh, I have to be right or I'm wrong or whatever. It really has to be with, did you hear me?
Are you listening?
Are you listening? Do you hear me what I'm saying? Can you, even if you don't agree, at least you know that you've been heard. And I think it speaks volumes when someone feels that you actually heard me and we can connect on that level.
The education is what's going to be really important, because culturally, I'm from Jamaica, and culturally growing up back then, right?
Fish and Aki.
I'm stealing rice and peas, right? Yeah. So the concept, the thought is, you're not a real man, or boy, you get a cut. Go sit down over there, wipe it off. You crying, you know. Get certain things you just don't talk about. Suck it up. Move on. Right.
Listen, and on that, right? There is, even though we're from different countries, right? There is something in that African diaspora, right, that runs through all of our countries, be it Black American, be it Jamaican, Trinidadian, Cuban, you know, all of us who are in the African diaspora, those from the continent as well. There's this concept of what happens in my house stays in my house. And that is killing us, because we keep those secrets. We keep those things that have happened inside the house and we don't tell it, right? I'm not just talking about abuse. I'm talking about alcoholism, anything that's going on in the house and we don't talk about it. And those things literally have, you know, we keep them in, create cancers in the body, high blood pressure, all these things that we as Black people, regardless of what country we're from, all have in common as far as like our health, because we're keeping these things in. But I've seen it. I've talked to African women. I've talked to women from the Caribbean, Black American women from the continent. And we've all had that concept of like, if something happens in our house, it stays in our house. You don't go telling tales outside of school.
Yeah. You don't air your dirty laundry.
Yes. That was from the grandparents and the grandparents, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't have that knowledge that we have today. So like the education is really going to be the key. And it's going to take one person at least to just say, hey, you know what? It's okay for me to talk to somebody about this. No, we're not trying to belittle you, but we're trying to expose the situation, expose what happened, and try to deal with it so that it doesn't mess with the mental psyche. If you have a young child that has been molested at the age of 5, and they wake and they come up and they grow up. Now they have that in their mind that they have to battle with, right? So the parent needs to first believe that what the child is saying is correct, what the child is saying is accurate, because many people will say, oh no, that's not true. The grandparents, oh, your uncle wouldn't do that, and push them away, right? So now the education is, okay, let me hear what you're saying, let me listen to what you're saying, what happened,
right?
And listen and talk about it.
Yeah, talk about it.
If I can add to that really quickly, the other issue that I find, to add to that point, I was raised like that and I actually talk like that. The emphasis for me was making sure it's a responsible person that you're going to, because sometimes our kids, or we as adults, we report our issue to another predator.
Yeah.
And so now you become re-victimized. So sometimes I also get that piece when people say don't air our dirty laundry. That's an issue. On the other side of that is gossipy. You could tell what's the chick from the Wayans sisters, you know, but you ain't hear from me. What was that? Oh, that's sitcom. You know what I'm saying? So if you tell it to these people, they're not really there to help you, right? So I see that as be careful with what you share. Well, not what you share, who you share it with. That's the real message for me when I hear that. And then I also get, because I grew up in that older family where it's like, if it's something that's just taboo, we're not talking about it. And that's unfortunate because those people have passed on. And so is that history. So is that valuable information, whether it's your health records or if it's something that you just really wanted to know about your family and it's gone. And we already have so many of us that can't even go back, 3 or 4 generations to find out our history. But I would give a little pushback to that we want to make sure that when we do share our stories, that we share it to someone that is responsible adult or responsible individual that's not going to harm you and put you right back into that trauma.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I love this conversation.
Girl, look.
I love this conversation and the fact that we as women of the diaspora are not afraid to talk about the fact that sometimes we need help. Sometimes we need someone other than our girlfriends, someone other than our sisters to talk, to sit down and talk to in a non-judgmental, unbiased way to help me work through whatever this issue is, either it be grief or loss of a relationship or anxiety, whatever it is. Sometimes, it's good to have girlfriends, but it's also it's okay to have a therapist too.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That
That's
part.
true. That's
I
true.
think nowadays everyone needs both.
Yeah.
You need your girlfriends and you also need your therapist.
Yeah.
You need
last week we had a sister on who was a therapist, and we had a really good discussion about the things the things that those stereotypes about therapy and those things that keep us
It's
unhealthy. Yeah. And so I don't know how many times we'll have to say it. We'll just keep on having to talk about it to let our community in particular know it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I think it's important that we keep talking about it. Get it out as much as we can. So, reach as many people as we can to let them know that it's okay. That it's okay to talk. It's okay to share your feelings. It's okay to have a platform. That there's people that you can talk to that are not going to judge you and that are going to receive what you're saying with love and compassion. Like lately, my theme has been compassion about everything because I find that we're just not compassionate enough. People aren't compassionate enough. So just continue to tell people, anybody that you meet, and it can be as simple as, like we talk about all the time, as simple as going somewhere and smiling at somebody. You don't know. Yeah, you don't know the last time that somebody smiled at that person. So smile. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't cost you anything. Like Kimone always says, tell somebody you love them.
Yeah.
Just tell somebody.
Give somebody a compliment. Say hi. I like your hair. That's a pretty blouse. I appreciate you. That man. People look at you and be like, "What? Yeah, I said it. It's okay. Receive it. Take it. It's all right." We should have a mental wellness music madness Monday or something, girl. Where y'all playing y'all beats and we just get there and chime, girl. That would be fun. Like a mental wellness party. Yes.
An online dance party.
Yeah.
So, and with that, I do not want to miss the opportunity for Kimone and Yola to be able to tell us how folks can find them, how they can tune in to Positive Forces and dance a little bit, get entertained, get informed, get educated. How can folks find you, ladies?
Go ahead.
All right, so we're live on Facebook and we're live on YouTube on the Positive Forces Show. And we're also live on YouChooseRadio.com. So we're on 4 different internet platforms. We're also on, so it's YouChoose, YOUCHOOSE, radio.com. And we are also on Viscosity Blend Radio. We're on Reggae Global Blend Radio on Sunday mornings. They re-air us at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And Zion Highness Radio. So we're on those 4 different platforms. So you can find us there.
On Saturdays.
On Saturdays.
from 4 to 6.
Four to 5.
4 to
5. Okay, look, we're going to claim 4 to 6. We're going to claim 4 to 6, baby. That's something that's coming down the pipe.
We used to have a 2-hour show, but we cut it down so that it could work better, and it flows much nicer for the 1 hour.
Yeah, it does.
So we had a Facebook user to tell us great forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I
am so glad I had an opportunity to meet y'all. You see y'all stuff. Y'all like celebrity level. I'm like, girl, they doing it. Y'all have beautiful smiles, high energy, great topics. I like your background.
Everywhere, it's beautiful.
That's you guys.
I saw the old ones. Y'all had the little head thing. I'm like, okay, and you talking into the mic, and y'all got your little beat. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
you like Spinderella.
So listen, when I tune in tomorrow, what's the number one song that's requested of you guys?
Oh man.
See, we don't even do it like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you're playing what feels right for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
What feels right for me, and then we just go with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I do want to ask what both of you. So take both of you and take turns answering. What is your wellness practice to keep you going every day? What is something that you do to help your mental wellness? Anyone, go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So, I literally wake up every day, and I use the Bible app to do the verse of the day, and it has a verse for that day. It has someone, a pastor or a youth counselor, that reads through the passage and explains it, and then it has a prayer section, a guided prayer section. It's almost like meditation through prayer. And then I have a talk with God. But one thing I do, I give him everything that I'm feeling, whatever it is, big or small. And then what I also do is every time that I wake up, I always choose to be happy. And it's, for me, it's a choice. And there's times when, things are bad, but I always try to choose to be happy. And if I wake up one day and I am upset about something, I identify it, and then I choose to change it. So that really helps me. Besides that, I just do whatever I like to do, whatever I can do. If that means I need to sit down and eat a pint of ice cream, it's okay. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm not going to beat myself up because I need a pint of ice cream. I'm just going to eat the pint of ice cream and keep it moving.
I know that's right.
All of that, I'm always constantly talking to God. It's like it's not just prayer for me. It is a conversation. It is me talking to him about what is going on, how I'm feeling, what I'm doing, and then making the choice to be positive, making the choice to choose good, making the choice to do what's right, making the choice to be kind, making the choice to be humble. So that's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
Amen.
Likewise. Hey, if I even have an ounce of negativity, my colleagues, they'll look at me like, "Wait, aren't you the positive person?" Like, so I don't even have the space to be able to do that, which is good because I'm a prayer. Pray, capital Pray. I pray and I give it to God. And if something is bothering me, I'm like, God, you're gonna have to take this.
Fix it.
You're gonna have to.
No, that's right.
Because I don't want it, and as humans, we tend to try to pick it up and try to help God and try to fix it, and like, oh, let me do this, and I'm like, no. God, forgive me. I took it back, and I'm giving it back to you, right? Yeah. And I'm like, this season in life, where everybody is just trying anything. Drugs is not an option. It's not an option. Illicit sex is not an option. It's just not an option. Like God, you have your Holy Spirit is inside of me, so I know that's not an option. So I'm going to go to you because you called me. I'm giving it back. All right. Okay. So and then I talk with friends, or I'll call my brother, I'll call my mom just to talk, or you say, you know what? Let me go and inundate myself at work because I'm a student. I'm a doctoral candidate. I'm in the process of getting my doctorate. So I'll go and I'll do research, right? Or I talk to my son, or if I need to go to the lake, I'll go to the lake and sit down and just watch the ducks, feed the ducks, and watch the water move. But those are the things that I like. If I feel like eating ice cream, I'm gonna have some ice cream as well. You know, so I think that sometimes you have to feel it. Like, what is it that will make you feel better in this moment? And if it's healthy for you and your body, go ahead and do it. You know, if you have the capacity to do it, because you only have one life. But prayer really, really, really works. Yeah. Trust God in everything that you do, and He will lead you.
Yeah.
Amen. And that is absolutely the last word, because you can't come back after that, right?
You cannot.
And as always,
Sure
we thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Thank you for having us.
So much. We loved it. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.
Bye.
Bye.